Welcome back to PsychVids. Today we are focusing on the halo effect. So picture this. You're sitting on a hiring committee. On one side of the table, you've got this incredibly qualified, perfectly capable candidate who is, well, fairly average looking. But on the other side, you have a pretty mediocre candidate with way less experience, but they are stunningly attractive and just ooze charisma. Who gets the job? Well, the answer might actually disturb you.
Have you ever assumed someone was smart just because they looked good? I mean, most of us really like to think of ourselves as entirely objective decision makers. We believe we're evaluating people based on hard facts, pure merit, and actual data. But the reality? Your judgment is often getting hijacked by a hidden brain glitch that operates entirely behind the scenes.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the unfair beauty premium. An unfair advantage. The research on this is absolutely mind-blowing. The data shows that attractive people don't just get hired faster, they actually enjoy a massive 10 to 15% lifetime earnings bump. Economists and psychologists literally refer to this as the beauty premium. So just by winning the genetic lottery, an individual gets this measurable, completely unfair financial advantage throughout their entire career. Crazy, right?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the massive gap between what we think we evaluate and what we actually evaluate. On paper, we have the objective interview rubric, right? Resume skills, coding tests, years of experience. But in reality, a confident handshake or a genuinely great smile often sways the entire interview process. The likability factor just completely overshadows the actual competence factor.
Moving right along to Section 2, defining the bias, a cognitive shortcut. So what exactly is it? Well, the halo effect is basically a cognitive bias, where one positive trait influences how we perceive a person's entire character. It means that an overall impression of someone, like, wow, they're highly attractive, or they're super charismatic, makes our brain blindly assume they must also be incredibly great at accounting or team leadership. That single glowing trait just lights up our entire perception of who they are.
And this isn't exactly a new discovery. Psychologist Edward Thorndike actually coined the term way back in 1920. He found that when military commanders rated their subordinates, if an officer had a commanding physical presence, they were automatically rated as having higher intelligence, superior leadership skills, and better technical abilities. And get this, the commanders made these assumptions with absolutely zero evidence. This idea was later reinforced by a famous 1972 study literally titled, "What is Beautiful is Good," and the concept continues right up to our present-day modern hiring biases.
The reason this happens really boils down to how our brains process information. It's a constant battle between System 1, which is our rapid gut reaction, and System 2, our deliberate logic. The halo effect kicks in within milliseconds because, let's face it, the brain desperately seeks cognitive efficiency. It is completely exhausting to analyze every single detail about a person, so we rely on emotional reasoning and pattern recognition over slow, analytical thinking. It's a mental shortcut that evolved for rapid survival, but man, it wreaks havoc in a corporate setting.
Which brings us to Section 3, hiring biases, promotion and workplace. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how the distortion happens in real time. We often take a perceived trait, say a candidate is really attractive or speaks with a lot of confidence, and we immediately jump to an assumed trait. We think, oh, they must be smart. They must be completely trustworthy. But the reality? The actual match between being confident and being good at a specific highly technical job is often entirely unrelated. These single traits silently distort human judgment and completely overshadow actual competence. To prove just how easily our judgment gets swayed, researchers Nisbet and Wilson ran this fascinating experiment. They showed students a video of a lecturer speaking with a strong European accent. Half the students were told beforehand that the lecturer was warm and friendly, while the other half were told he was cold and distant. Even though both groups watched the exact same video, the students who were primed with the word warm rated his appearance, his mannerisms, and even his accent as highly appealing. Meanwhile, the cold group found those exact same attributes totally irritating. A single word completely altered their reality.
Now, let's look at the flip side in Section 4, the horn effect, the deadly inverse.
If you have one perceived negative trait, people assume you are bad at your entire job. The horn effect is the exact inverse of the halo effect, and it is brutal. Let's say a candidate is slightly quiet during an interview, or maybe their desk looks a little disorganized. Our brains grab onto that single flaw and use it to unfairly tank their entire professional evaluation. They aren't just viewed as messy anymore. Suddenly, they're deemed unreliable, lazy, and totally unfit for management. One minor negative trait just taints the whole shebang.
So how do we fix this? That brings us to Section 5, how to beat the bias, actionable strategies.
So the crucial point is we absolutely need to force our brains out of that rapid System 1 thinking and into System 2 analytical logic. Step 1, slow down your decision making. The most dangerous biases are the ones that just feel like intuition. Step 2, separate traits intentionally. You have to consciously remind yourself that likability does not equal competence. And step 3, seek disconfirming evidence. Actively go out of your way to look for information that contradicts your glowing first impression.
If you're out there conducting interviews or evaluations, here is your tactical playbook. First, use structured checklists for every single candidate, ensuring everyone is judged on the exact same metrics. Next, rate their skills independently. Score their technical ability completely separate from their communication style. And always ask yourself this powerful question. If this person lacked this positive trait, like if they weren't quite so charming, would I still agree with their proposal or think they're the best fit for this role? You really have to isolate the charm from the actual competence to prevent blind trust.
The halo definitely makes the world seem prettier, but clearer vision makes for infinitely better decisions. So, what's a time you realized you totally misjudged someone based on a first impression? Whether it was a new hire or a coworker, I'd love to hear your experiences down in the comments. Subscribe so you don't miss an episode.